1, 2, 3, 4, 5, let's go!
Yay, that was fun.
Beaming to you from the Plastic Microphone Studios, deep in the heart of Cajun, this is FFFF from Fans. I'm your host, Jamie Ray, and I'd like to thank you for joining us. This episode is bound to cover all of you out there in the podcast universe. See, that's going to play. It's going to play in just a second. Joining me once again is the immensely talented creator, writer, artist, and all-about-town man who's known for both the Star Wars Insider comic strip, The Light Side, and Blue Scar the Barbarian, Mr. Jamie Ray. Oh, no, that's me. It must be Jamie Cosley. To discuss our 5 favorite The Warlord. I guess it's The Warlord, not just Warlord. It's The Warlord. Jamie's been on the show before. We've talked about barbarians, and we're not quite talking about a barbarian this time, but they both have swords. Yeah. Welcome back to the Plastic Microphone Studios, Jamie.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited. I've had a blast going through my own Warlord comics and then looking at some that I either had or I have them and just can't find them. But yeah, I mean, just looking at Mike Grell's compositions has been quite a learning experience for me, and because you've already mentioned I'm an artist, so it was kind of cool to just look at those things and say, okay, what is it about this particular cover that stands out from all of the rest, and how am I going to rank them? I mean, and I'm anxious to see if you and I have chosen some of the same.
I think there's going to be a little bit of crossover, but at the same time, as an artist, your eyes are going to see different things. So I think we're going to depart on others. And I have a couple of sneaky ones that, that are in there just because they're in there. So it's going to be fun. And because we're doing video, as you can see, me and Jamie are off center. But as we talk about our cover, I'm going to come back up in post-production, he says knowingly, and put the cover like right here. Or Jamie, if you'll show the fine listeners where yours will be. Whoa! So it's going to be a lot of fun. If you've listened to our episode together before, Jamie tells the story of how he literally came to LucasArts and said, you guys need a comic strip. But why don't you tell us again, because it's such a great story.
Oh, man. Well, I had been working with Topps, and someone brought to my attention that one of the card sets that I was working on was going to be advertised in Star Wars Insider. And so at the time, I wasn't really that familiar with the magazine, but I went to my local Barnes & Nobles and picked one up. And then I went through the credits and I looked up the name of the editor, and I reached out to him and I said, hey, I'm working on this particular top set. Do you ever have any need for spot illustrations or a comic strip? And I honestly did not expect to hear back. I do stuff like that from time to time. Well, he emailed me back the next day, and he was like, comic strip, show me what you got. And of course I didn't have anything. So I was working on a picture book at the time, and I ended up, stopping. I was like, okay, I need
it's Star Wars. Wait,
Yeah, I was freaking out. I did up a bunch of samples, and he liked what he saw, but he kept saying, I can't make any promises because Lucasfilm has final say. I can't make any promises. And we went back and forth. It was probably 9 months. And then after that 9 months, I reached out and I said, hey, did Lucasfilm ever give you any feedback? is there anything I can work on? And maybe, because I figure if I hadn't heard anything, they just didn't like it. And that was the time he said, "Oh yeah, the first one appears in issue so and so. I need 3 more." And I was just like, "What?" Just mind blown. And that was almost 7 years ago.
Wow.
Yep.
12 months out of the year. That's a lot. That's what, 84, 85 now?
We have enough for a collection. And I'm like, please. So we'll see. Maybe when I'm a few years older, I don't know. I don't know how
when you're old and gray.
When I'm old and gray.
Well, I love it.
I'm actually rocking the Warlord.
You are. You just got to get that little on the end,
right?
Know? Yeah.
Give me some mustache wax.
Some wax. There you go. Well, I bet 9 months is about what it takes to make a baby, so that makes sense then. So there you go. So we talked about this. I actually finally got to meet in person at Heroes Con, which
that was awesome.
Was so awesome. You did a great teaching the kids how to draw Star Wars stuff. I'm still amazed. That's, if you don't do this, you should be a teacher, because you were really, really good with the kids and a couple of adults who couldn't draw. But anyway, I tried. And so we talked about this, but this is actually going to be just the first of at least 2, if not 3 episodes that we're going to do that will all be around Mike Grell's creations. Oh, Mike Grell. Oh. And this one is going to specifically cover the covers that featured the Warlord. Okay. Yes. Now, what is the Warlord? Well, if you're watching this show, then you should at least have some love of comic books, or a love of me, or a love of you. So anyway, so straight off of Mike Grell's website, the Warlord is part sword and sorcery, part science fiction and action hero, appearing in the world of DC Comics. He was created by writer-artist Mike Grell, debuted in first issue special number 8 back in November of 75. Travis Morgan, who obtains the name the Warlord because he fights for the freedom of the people of Skartris. Now, there are going to be a lot of people who will tell you that's pronounced different ways. I don't care. That's what I'm going with. The Warlord was a comic book that ran for 133 issues, plus, was it 6 annuals? 5 or 6 annuals, from 75 until 89. He then returned in 1992 for 6-issue miniseries. In 2006 for a series that lasted 10 issues. And then most recently, a series that ran from 2009 2010. The Warlord is actually a United States Air Force Lieutenant Colonel Travis Morgan, who, while driving a badass SR-72 Blackbird, is shot down, but instead of crashing in Russia, ends up going through a hole in the Earth's core into a world inside what is actually a hollow Earth. And there he is a modern man injected into the world of sword and sorcery. But later on, we find out there's also advanced technology down there from the Atlanteans. And Mike wrote and illustrated the title for the first 52 issues. His then wife Sharon ghost wrote it, which I never knew this, from 53 to 71. And he drew the covers, but his main focus kind of shifted. He started doing Star Slayer and another personal favorite of mine, John Sable Freelance.
Yes.
And then later on, Shaman's Tears. And of course, he worked on Green Arrow for a long time as well.
Longbow Hunters.
Yeah, Longbow Hunters, which revitalized the character. So pretty much that kind of tells you a little bit about it. There are a bunch of great characters. There's some sorcerers, Deimos, Tara, who becomes his wife, Joshua, his son, and all of those characters just fill the whole world down there. He does come out and he goes back. So there's a lot to it. After he left, Dan Jurgens took over, and I thought did a fantastic job of not only keeping true to the character, but also delving back into time travel and the Atlantean technology and all-out war between the kingdoms. But anyway, that's what I think. What are your thoughts on the show, the episode, the the thing that where you open it up and there's pictures,
right? Yeah, I think and obviously it's fairly easy to draw comparisons to John Carter. Kind of a fish out of water, defending people, so a hero arriving just in time. So I kind of compare to that. Even some of the names, like, I'm not even going to try to pronounce the name again, but you just you just did it. But it makes you think of, like, Barzoom and and so that's kind of neat. And then just the overall design of the character. Of course, we're the same age, and I can remember going to Kmart and seeing the Remco action figure that looks like He-Man. It's not really true to the comic character. No. But later on, they ended up doing some really, really nice action figures that I unfortunately can't afford. But the helmet, the facial hair, the swords, the
44 mag.
Yeah, I mean just the overall design of the character. And then, as I was saying just before we started recording, from an artist perspective, just looking at his compositions and trying to figure out why he made certain decisions and why these particular covers that I've picked, spoke to me. It was really kind of neat because his and I don't want to say too much because I want to save it from when we start talking about the covers, but I did think a lot about that. But for me, it's definitely the design of the character, and just that, it's, I know you said it was the 75, I think you said was the year the first
November 75. That's when first issue special number 8 came out.
But for me, the Warlord just kind of screams 80s.
Yes.
But yeah, and if I wasn't squishy, I'd try to pull off the cosplay, but
you could do it. Have you ever seen, back in the 80s, there was an entire group who did the Warlord, and it was all of the characters. And if you haven't seen it, I'm going to find it and use it for our social media. But these guys did everybody. It was awesome.
Oh, that's cool.
And they looked the part too. Talking about those figures though, I remember seeing them, and I was so torn because I loved the Warlord at the time. I was buying it, I was reading it, but I'm not going to say hate, but I never liked the Masters of the Universe. And when I saw that, I was so upset. I didn't buy them, or I didn't ask for them, I should say, because I was young. Right. But I did pick up the DC first appearance when the Bart Sears version of it came out, which is probably when I tried about. And then I didn't know that there is supposed to be a Justice League figure.
Oh
yeah, and I've never seen that before. So I've got 2 kidneys, so I'm thinking I might be able to get one.
I tried. I was watching eBay closely, and I just couldn't justify. I think it may have been 45 or 55 for the Justice League version, because I have some. I really like those figures. I actually have some. Tyler got me Adam Strange.
Oh,
that figure's really cool. And then he had like Wildcat, Dr. Fate, and I was like, man, I really want the Warlord. But I just couldn't pull the trigger at the time. I didn't have the extra cash.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at it now. I see that. Yeah, it does look straight out of his appearance from.
It's cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. I don't even see one on the card or in the box, I guess would be the thing. Yeah. But Man, okay, well now I've got something to ask for Christmas. I will say the packaging was awesome for the original ones. I will give you that. But
Yeah.
just as a huge, it just couldn't do it.
Wasn't one of the villains also available? Like it
Well,
was
I know that Machiste was on there, and I think Deimos.
Deimos.
Yeah, okay,
I think
Deimos.
there was if I'm remembering correctly, I think he had a figure.
Yeah, I think so too, because it looked really weird that he was so freaking big.
Right.
And then Arak, who was one of the backup stories for a while. They have
Mm-hmm.
a figure of him too. Battle Beneath the Earth. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's only $169.
Oh,
You know, yeah, you got that pocket change, brother. You know that. Go look in your couch.
oh yeah.
Well, what we decided on here is that it was going to be the covers, and that's all. It's not about the story inside, unless the story inside is evoked. It's your favorite, so you can do what you want to do. I don't really care. But I asked you for some honorable mentions and your fave 5. So how many honorable mentions do you have?
I'm just gonna have one honorable mention.
What?
Yep. I
Dude, I have
have
4. 5. Excuse me, I have 5.
you have five.
I have 5.
Well, I had my 5, and it took me a while, and you forgive me while we're looking for the, because I have them all saved on my phone, so I can make sure I had the issue number, and then I could talk about it. But let's see here.
Well, in the meantime, I can talk about how great and wonderful Mike Grell is in person. If you've never met him in a con, meet him at a con. He is a fantastic guy. I remember the first time I met him, I had Lily with me, and I'm standing there talking, and I was just telling him about how I used to ride my bicycle down to the post office to get my monthly version of the Warlord and how much I loved it. And he looked at Lily and he says, you see your dad right here? He's awesome. Your dad helped pay for my house. It's like, I guess I kind of did.
I'm telling you.
But he's always got that rugged look to him. And I did pick up the ultimate first edition of John Sable, the big oversized one where they redid all of it. It's beautiful.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, my honorable mention.
Oh, there we go. Let's go.
Yep, is issue number 44.
Okay.
Issue number 44. It has the Warlord, the Gamble, and it's this really cool headshot of our main character, and then some silhouettes, and then the black cat, and I can't remember her name.
Yeah.
The black cat is on there. It's a blue cover, and then the logo is in white and kind of orange. But it just looks sweet.
Oh, I could see it right there next to you.
Yes. Here we go. So that is my honorable mention.
Okay, so that would be gosh, she came in later on. That's the one who could turn into a cat and back to a woman, right?
Yes.
Let's see, what was her name? I am so losing it. Shakira. That's it. Shakira.
Not the
well, we don't know that. We don't know that for sure. Okay. I mean, you just say it. That is a good one. And it's beautiful standing right there next to you. So like I said, I have 5 honorable mentions. Oh, by the way, was that one a Mike Grell cover? 44. Yeah, it was a Mike Grell cover.
Okay. All of mine are going to be Mike Grell there. Now, if we went with Dan Jurgens, I could have actually brought my physical copies, but I just kind of stuck with once I started revisiting, I just stuck with Mike.
All right. Well, then I know for sure we're not going to have some crossover on that one. So
okay.
So my first one is going to be kind of nearing the end, issue 121, right here, with art by Art Thibert and Pablo Marcus. So this was later on. It's got this yellow cover. The banner's blue with red and white letters, and Morgan is jumping crossword across the cover with all these arrows and spears coming up across him. I wanted to make sure to pick some favorites that weren't just Mike Grell. Otherwise, they would have almost all been Mike Grell. So this one, kind of near the end, I thought it was great because they left so much space. And as we know, when you leave the space, that your mind is going to fill stuff in. So I wanted to choose that one. Another honorable mention would be from Dan Jurgens and the late Dick Giordano, who was also a great guy to meet. Sadly gone too long. That's going to be issue 71. Which is near the end of the time travel, where Shakira gets scratched by a unicorn, and Morgan and kind of a Native American shaman have to go forward in time, or don't have to, but end up forward in time to get a cure and bring it back to her. And I think this was nearing the end of that whole arc, which went on for like a year. Very interesting. So it's got that red cover with a spaceship coming down, and it's got Shakira in the front, and he's got that sweet Mag 44.
I think I know.
Yeah. Well, you can see it right there.
I can see it.
Yeah.
But I think I remember.
My third honorable mention is way back in issue 21, where we see father against son fighting to the death on the Terminator. So we have Deimos's hand, just like the picture here. And it's got an adult Joshua's son who is being possessed and puppeted by Deimos, having to fight Morgan. And this cover was one of the first covers I ever remember getting. It was dog-eared, the corners torn, but I read that thing over and over and over again. And even at my age, you could see the heartache and the heartbreak that he was going to be going through. So it's always stuck with me, and I still have my original copy. I still have all of my original Warlords. I wish I still had the brown paper wrapper they came in, because that was cool, but I don't. But I still have a lot of those original ones.
You had a subscription?
Oh yeah. I literally used to ride my bicycle because we had a post office box, and it was, I don't know, mile and a half. And I had a subscription to the Warlord from DC, and then I had G.I. Joe and Star Wars from Marvel, because I would ask people to give me those for my birthday or for Christmas.
Right.
And they would come in a brown wrapper, but the ends were open. So it was like, just they would stick the comics in. So surprisingly, very few of them ever got torn. I was very surprised. But I still have my G.I. Joes. No, I still have my Star Wars that I had.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but the Warlords, every single one that I ever got, I still have. I have multiples of them. I've made a box out of cutting some bad ones up. But
that's cool, man.
Yeah. And then my honorable mention number 4 is only mentioned because it was on the big screen, but actually didn't make the big screen, but it made the little disc instead. So Warlord issue 89, which was a Burkett and Buckler issue, Rick Buckler and
he's great,
Carrie Burkett. Yeah. And it has Morgan fighting this kind of saber-tooth looking pirate. And I bring it up, as you can see, it's right here. And then here's another picture right here. This issue from January 1985 actually appears on the magazine rack of a convenience store that was a deleted scene in the Goonies.
Oh, no way.
Of all things. And you can clearly see it. There's a Mad magazine, there's a Spider-Man, and there's this Warlord right next to it.
That is cool.
So, and here's a picture of it. You could see it. That's straight off the DVD. So, and then my last one my number 5. Did I say I had 5? Yeah, I had 5. Is actually when I saw this comic book, I thought, oh my God, how have I never seen this before? And then the next month just hammered it in. So there's 2 issues of the Green Arrow that was being written by Mike Grell and drawn by Dan Jurgens and inked by Dick Giordano, where Travis Morgan comes to Seattle, where I think it's Seattle, where the Green Arrow lives. And he goes to a bar, and right away people just try to beat the crap out of him because he looks like the Green Arrow.
Oh yeah,
he's got the mustache, he's got this, he's got the hair, except one's white hair and the other's blonde. And so the second issue 27 kind of shows him in the shadows, but issue 28 literally has them back to back, and they're drawn like they're brothers. And I love that issue. I thought it was just, the cover is just so cool, because you never would put them together. I never did.
Yeah.
Until I saw him face to face. But Mike saw it.
Oh, now I want that one.
Yeah. 27 and 28. There's actually several appearances, and I'll be showing most of them. He was he was on covers of the Teen Titans. He was on the cover of something else, but I'll be using him in our social media feed for the week that this comes out.
You're a completist.
I am a completist.
When you because I noticed that when we were discussing ROM. I was like, I got the whole set of ROM, and you just like, not only do I have the whole set, but I have this appearance and because we talked about it, because I found it and read it, is the Marvel 2-in-1 with the Thing and ROM.
Yes, 99.
Fantastic issue.
Fantastic.
That is so good.
It's a fantastic 4 issue.
Yeah. So after that, and then I'm like, man, he's got. So I would love to see. I tell my wife this all the time. I said, my friends that I have that I can geek out over this stuff, it's not fair that we're spread out so far, because I want to come over and look at this stuff. Like, I want to see your collection. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I don't know why I would want to clarify this for all to hear, but I actually am working on 4 sets of ROM. I have the newsstand versions. I have the direct marketed versions. I have signed a copy of each one. And then the 4th one, I was doing slabbed ones, but I've only got about 5 or 6 slabbed ones. And so each one of them has their own box. And
wow.
Yeah, I'm kind of an idiot. But
well, what about,
anyway, let's get the attention back to you.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. We'll do that for another time. But,
have you seen the episode with me and Lee where we talk about ROM appearances outside of his series?
No, the last one that I listened to, which I really enjoyed, was recent. You were talking with a young lady about Vincent Price movies.
Oh, and a young lady as well.
Yeah.
That lady, Lily Gilbo, and she is just totally, how much she knows about Vincent Price just blows me away.
Oh yeah,
she's like 20. I mean, I've got like shirts older than her.
I really enjoyed that episode because obviously I knew, most of what y'all were, but then I was like, hey, I don't remember that one. And
she schooled me. She schooled her and LB the next week.
I recently watched, I'm sorry, I keep taking us off, but I recently watched the Bat.
Yes. Yeah, we talked about that on Twitter.
It's so good.
It was. I just picked up this weekend. I didn't even know it was out there. It's 3 Vincent Price movies on VHS. The guy was very upfront about it. The Raven was missing, so he put in a copy of House on Haunted Hill instead.
Oh, that's a great one.
Yeah, it's a great one. Actually, it's one of the best colorized movies I've ever seen. It looks just like it was filmed in color. So if you ever I think it's on Might be on YouTube too, but
Okay.
it looks really good. But oh yeah, love me some Vincent Price.
That's awesome.
So anyway, all right. So we're finished with all of our honorable mentions.
Okay.
I mean, really, if you look at it, we had 6 honorable mentions together. So it really averages out to just 3 each. So,
There you go.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's bounce back and get your 5th favorite Warlord cover.
Awesome. Awesome. My 5th favorite is issue 50. 50, as you can see here. And it is a brown cover. It's brown and yellow, and there's an awesome picture of him just standing there holding his sword. And one thing that I wanted to mention, whenever I do a commission and somebody wants a specific character, I will look up photo references.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, nowadays for artists, all you have to do is Google like woman jumping through glass window with pistols in her hands.
Wearing a sombrero.
Wearing us, and literally there it is. So when I'm looking at these, I'm like, did Mike have like models? Did he have people that would come in and pose? And did he have like a room where the lighting was set a certain way so you could, all of the details? I'm like, or did this just pop out of his imagination?
Right.
But there's a lot of little, what's cool is, even though the cover is in brown, there's light blue artwork all around, and it just really looks cool. And then of course up in the corner, underneath the DC logo, there's an advertisement for Superman 2. So
yes, you have to see it.
But it's awesome. I love those full figures. You're going to see that a lot in mine. I love those full figures, but he always has some sort of larger image in the background, whether it's a head or a circle with this ornate design. I mean, it's really cool.
Yeah, and this is a great cover because it has in the brown on the side, in light blue, it has a bunch of the other characters, and it's almost like shadow versions of them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I know it well. I love all 27 pages of that epic 50th issue, so much so that it's actually my number 5 as well.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
See, when you were looking down, I was like, because I had it too. It is a great cover, and you're right, he does like to put things in the back. So this one, you've got Travis and Tara standing there, and then he's got him full figured. But it's a great issue. It ends a long campaign for them, and it's a big break in their relationship as well. The next issue, I believe, is a reprint of it was a reprint of first issue Special 8, and then 51 starts a whole new adventure where he goes back to the top side to see how that's going to work out. But man, you're right, it's a beautiful cover. You've got such good tastes. All right, so then Lau, we'll go back to you and get your number 4.
All right, number 4 is issue number 29.
Ooh.
29 has a full figure. He's in a as you can see, he's in battle mode. Not only does he have a shield in his left hand, but he's also holding a dagger. Then he's got his sword. He's got that really cool skull over his shoulder and the chain. And it's just an awesome image. And then of course behind it, it almost looks like the Star Wars Rebel logo. And it's in bright yellow, and it just looks killer.
Yeah.
And it's called The Return of the Gladiator, and then plus Hounds from Hell underneath.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. I know the one you're talking about. Well, I could see it, but I mean, I know the one you're talking about. That is an awesome cover. I mean, we're just going to sit here and say how awesome he is every time. So we've got incredible, immense talent. We got to come up with somebody send me a book of send me the Saurus book, and I'll look at that. Well, I will parry your number 4 with 2 number 3s.
Oh,
and I'm talking about issue 33, boom, which has you staring down the barrel of his 44 mag with this crescent moon. It's a red, beautiful cover, yellow and blue on the banner. It's got the pink DC, which is like weird, but that's okay. And aside from it being a really cool, dirty, hairy feel to it, the gun, if you haven't read it before, is his sidearm, and he occasionally will go back to his crashed ship for stores of bullets. And so the gun is something that when he uses it, he means business, because he knows he's got that limited amount. But the reason this one especially stands out for me is that this was the first graded comic book that I ever bought. And by graded, it was a near mint from Westfield Comic Books.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Yes, and I remember because it was like there's like 4 columns and it's different prices, and I loved that one at the time. I think it was pretty recent when it had come out, and I bought it and paid like, I don't know, $7, which was a lot of money. I mean, but it came and it was in that hard Mylar bag and had a certificate that was embossed. I just thought, I was the shizzle right then. So, and I, again, still have the certificate, because it's part of that, oh man, this is more than just reading funny books. Now I'm investing and I'm collecting,
Right.
So, but that's it. Issue 33 again by Mike Grell. He's just the bestest. So that was a couple of 3s. How about just your number 3?
All right. My number 3 is, hold on one second. I saved the image and I actually cut off the issue number. I'm going to describe it anyway because you might.
You can show it to me. I could see it.
Okay. I love this because it reminds me of another Mike Grell book, Star Slayer. But here, you see if you can see that.
Oh yeah, that's the Hellfire. That's 30. I can't remember what it is. But anyway, we'll put it right here and we'll know what the number is.
Yeah,
the number is
the Brotherhood of Death. It's got a profile of Travis, and then that particular outfit, he's got the headband, he's got the gun, and it just reminded me of Star Slayer, and so I just thought that was so cool looking. So that is my number 3.
Yeah, I want to say that's in the 30s because of the Hellfire sword that he's got. Even though the look is very reminiscent of I think the 60s or 70s, where he's gone back and he's ruling by Tara's side and he absolutely hates it, but he's doing it because he loves her and he promised he would. That Hellfire was an awesome sword, though it needed its blood to drink.
That is cool.
Yeah, I think it was like 2 halves that got put together, something. But oh yeah, I remember loving that. Okay, well, let me parry that with another Mike Grell cover. It is called Back Out. And this is the episode where I keep saying episode. This is the issue where at the end of a visit to Jennifer, his daughter, who's become a sorceress, he and Shakira are trying to be returned back to Skartris, but instead they show up in the wake of Australia in the future after a Holocaust. And so it's got this really, and I know you love the full figures, but this is the one, it's all black, and he's coming like out of the shadows.
I know
and,
it.
Yeah, yeah.
I know
and,
it.
Well,
yeah.
it's right there, you know?
Yeah.
And he's got the sword right in front of him. And
oh, yeah, that was all. That was all.
Yeah, almost.
Yep.
And you love how he's got his fallback sword, and it's got that guard cover for his arms. Such an awesome. You could just tell he's like he's down for business.
Yep.
There's
I
no
had
playing
that one.
around.
I was like, I should have had 2 honorable mentions because
Yep.
I know exactly what you're talking about, and it's cool because that stuff is not easy to pull off. Like
No.
if you're trying to, as an artist, if you're trying to pull off certain things, it's not easy. And because I always feel like, oh, I'm looking at it, I'm like, is this too static? Do I need to have it like, like Kirby was always like, the hands coming out at you. And with Mike, it's subtle, but it's so cool, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. And this was one of the issues that has the backup of Conqueror of Barren Earth, which I loved that series about Janal, who had like a lightsaber, but it wasn't a lightsaber. It was, and then it went off to Conqueror of Barren Earth later on. But anyway, that was a good one. So we are now getting up to your penultimate choice. Again, that's a $5 word that I have to get in every episode. So give us your number 2, your second favorite Warlord cover.
All right, my second favorite, and I'm actually jumping way ahead. This is the Warlord, one of the more recent ones, issue 13, and I'm going to show it to you. Well, obviously everyone can see here.
Everyone can see it, yeah.
But I'm going to show it to you, and I love this because it reminds me of another artist that I'm sure you will know and love too. It has a wicked Timothy Truman feel to it.
Yes.
Timothy Truman, of course, from Scout, and worked with Mike, I believe, on Star Slayer.
Yes, I believe you're right.
Yep. And just the way that this figure is posed, he did it in such a way that you can see all of the gear that he's wearing. He's got this cool, reminds me of that old series, The Claw, which I really like.
Yeah, you did.
So I jumped forward. I think this was the most recent incarnation.
I believe you're right, 2010.
But that just looks, it just reminds me so much of Tim Truman, because Tim's, just like Mike, Tim's covers were so bold, especially when they did the full figures, but there was also some sort of like anchor in the background that just kind of pushed that character forward. So yeah, that is my number 2.
And you know who that is on the cover, right?
No.
That's actually Joshua.
That's his son?
Yeah,
okay.
He's the one that took over the mantle of the Warlord. So he's got the same kind of design and stuff, but then he's also got the arrows and but yeah, that was I met him, Chad Harden, I believe he did Harley Quinn for a while. Yeah,
Mike
I met
Grell,
him in Houston. Yep, good stuff. That's cool. A good stuff. And I tell you what, you couldn't put a gun to my head to tell you that comic series what it was about, because I think I've only read it once. I have it, but I've only read it once. But it has all the old original characters back in, and I think it's just they're older, and so this isn't the same one he fought, because we all know Tinder was the real Joshua. We all know that.
Of course.
Of course. So I will parry that with my penultimate choice, which is back in the USSR, issue 52, which begins his journey after all of the events of issue 50, where he has come past the Terminator back into Russia, and he feels that maybe he needs to spend some time away. And God bless him, he can't get a break. The Russians show up. They first show up in with a MiG and try to shoot down at him. And then later on, I believe a helicopter lands and he has to take him out old school. But two reasons that this is on my list. First is it's just an awesome shot of him, and he's got that big bear cape that he'd been using to keep warm, and the shots are going through the cape, just barely catching him. It's a great pose. It's a great look, superimposing his barbaric appearance and everything versus cutting edge technology at the time. Love the color. The sun's coming up behind him. It's just beautiful. But yeah, thank you. So we are now at our favorite Warlord covers, and I am 100% sure we do not have a match on this one. So take that for what you will.
Yep.
But let's go ahead
and
reveal unto us.
This one took a while, but this one has actually been mentioned before by you.
Ooh. Okay, let me guess.
See if you can take a guess.
Oh, well, it's got to be the it's got to be Terminator number 21.
Nope.
No?
Nope.
Ooh, okay, well, I give up then. Which one was it?
My favorite, and I went back and forth, but again, as as an artist looking at his covers and just wondering how the heck did you pull this off, I had to go with the bright red issue number 33.
Oh, okay.
With the gun pointed at the reader, because that is not easy to do.
No, and his perspective is dead on.
The perspective is perfect, and you're looking down the barrel of that gun, his hand, everything. I look at it in awe. I'm like, how did you pull that off? I could see if I attempted to do something like that, there would be a pile of eraser shavings.
Or a pile of paper, huh?
Or a pile of paper. But I love that image. There were, I said it like you, I was like, am I going to go nostalgic and one that's mine? And I'm like, I just have to look at his artistry and just wonder how did you do that?
We're going to have to ask him.
Yeah.
We're going to have to ask him, because that is some incredible stuff. Well, good. Excellent choice. So you did have a crossover. I thought you were holding on to that, but you're good.
Yeah.
So before we get to my number one, I do want to bring up issue 35.
35.
Okay, 35. Because I think this is one of the coolest issues. Now, the cover is great. It's called Gambit. This is the one where he's got the Hellfire sword and somebody has a chainsaw and they're trying to cut through the saw, and he's holding them off. And it's an issue where he's transported to this weird morphic world where things keep changing, and he's being controlled. You can see by these two weird omnipotent beings who are like moving chessboards. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
Do you remember who the two people were, or the three people, because there was somebody up there talking with them? The three characters were Julius Schwartz, Jack C. Harris, and Mike Grell. And at the end, there's a shot of them all like on a chessboard, and you've got a Morgan character, and I think it was like Tweedledee and Tweedledum and all these different things. And I'm like, man, I love that, because like you were talking about Kirby earlier, he would put Stan Lee and himself and other people into the comics sometimes. And I just love that one. So that one always held a special place in my heart, but because of what's inside it, not necessarily what's on the cover.
Right.
So it didn't make the list.
Sergio would do that a lot.
Yes.
Sergio, if you look at and that Sergio is not only my all-time favorite living cartoonist. But Gru is my all-time favorite comic book.
Yeah.
And he would put Stan Sakai, who's the letterer, and Scott Shaw, who's one of his best friends.
Okay.
Those two would always wind up in the background scenes because, you know, he's insane with his.
Oh yeah, these details.
How many people are in a village?
Yes.
And then the colorist, which is Tom Luth, so you can regularly see them. So it's neat when artists do that. Yeah. There's actually a and I don't remember the number, but there was an old DC comic, because my friend Franco wrote it, and there is a character in there called Farmer Cosley. So that's kind of that's kind of my claim to fame for the I can't remember. I think it was one of the it may have been on Free Comic Book Day, but something's happening to the cows. The cows are disappearing, and this guy's saying, "I'm thinking it's Farmer Cosley."
Immortalized forever.
Yep. So it didn't look like me, but it was me.
Yeah. Well, you were in disguise. I mean,
I was in disguise. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. Okay. Well, I'm going to give you my number one now, and I know right away you're going to see it because it is just so memorable. So you've got the end of, or near the end of, the future war, whatever it's called, where he's in the future, time traveling with some spaceships and Lieutenant Swan and all of this different stuff. But the issue is number 84, and it's called Hail to the Chief. And it's called Burkett, Dan Jurgens, Dick Giordano, and just a host of people. It's got Morgan holding that sword up in front of the American flag.
Oh, sweet.
Okay. And as you can see, it's here. Now, this is what the comic looks like if you go and buy it from someone. And this is what my issue looks like. And as you can see on the stripes, I have all the different people who've signed it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, yeah. This is one that when I first, and I didn't even meet Dan, but when I first sent stuff off to him, I was able to send this one. And when he got it back to me, he had signed it along a stripe. So the next time I went somewhere, it was Dick Giordano. So he signed another one, and I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, now it's on. Now it's on." Yeah, so cool. I've gotten Phil Felix, I got Mike Grell, Carrie Burkett. God, I'm gonna forget some. I don't have it right in front of me, but I will name them all here. But this hangs in the man cave because it's always been one of my favorites. Just I mean, each one of them has, you know, a stripe. So I've still got a couple that I can get. So maybe one day I'll have all of the stripes filled, but we'll see. But go figure, my favorite Warlord cover isn't even by Mike Grell.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
So, but
have you ever done, it may not be that easy with the structure of your show, which is really cool. But if you ever think to do a studio tour, like just take people around and show your man cave, dude, I'm all over that. I love when people do stuff. I'm like, I want to see your comics. I want to see your toys. I want to see your posters.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm talking about. I love that stuff, man.
Yeah. Well, I'll do that then. I'll do it just for you because you're so awesome.
I watch those all the time. I'll, late at night after the girls have already gone to sleep, and I've watched all of the YouTubers that I'm subscribed to. I'll look up like Snoopy collection or Marvel collection, and people take you through these, and some of them are just incredible.
Yeah.
What they've been able to do. But I noticed Saturday, Christy and I had a rare moment where we got to sit down and watch a movie together. She especially is always just stays so busy. But we got to watch Fright Night.
The first one? The original one?
Yes. Oh, yeah, the original. And there's a scene in there with, oh my gosh, Peter Vincent.
Mm-hmm. Writing it down.
There is a Bela Lugosi painting on the wall. And I'm like, I want to find out if there's either a print available, and if not, I'm going to do it. I'm going to make my own.
Wow. Have you ever looked up Kurt Hamish's collection, the guitarist for Metallica?
No.
Dude, he has his own book. He has you need to look for that on YouTube, because I know it's on there. It's like It's like cribs to the nth. He's got, I can't even begin to tell you the amazing stuff. It's like if Uncle Forey had done it right instead of just cramming it all down into a basement. It's amazing. So look him up.
Okay, I will definitely.
Yeah. Wow. Well, dude. Okay, so let me make a note. I got to do a tour of the man cave.
Yeah, I got to see that.
A tour of the Plastic Microphone Studios. Plastic Microphone Studios will take 3 shots, maybe 4. All right. So before we move on, we have already decided on our next episode. That is going to be Fave 5 Mike Grell issues.
Yes.
So it's from any series that he wrote. He doesn't have to have done the art for it, but from, I mean, that's what I think of. I don't think of his art over somebody else's writing necessarily. Not that there's nothing wrong with that, but that's kind of what I want to do. And I already have that list, and I know you're working on your list.
I have 3.
3. Okay.
Already.
So I want you to have more than one honorable mention. Okay. So you can have at least, I mean, have 2, have 4 if you want.
Okay.
You know, I mean, just don't do 5, because that's really a jerk move.
I won't do that.
Yeah, who would do that? Come on. But I'm super excited to have this as one of the new video episodes. So thank you so much for coming on and for doing it. Anything coming up in the future that we should shout out one more time, or?
Oh, well, but I guess by the time people see this, it should be available online. But my good friend, one of my best friends, Art Baltazar, and I have a brand new comic book coming out.
I was wondering.
It's Meteorite meets Spitfire Space Cricket. He is actually, I'm going to pick him up Thursday night at the airport. He's staying with me all weekend. We're going to draw comics. We're going to come up with a new character. But that book is so fun. It's 20 pages. It's a throwback to the old Marvel monster comics, and it's kind of like Marvel Monster Comics meets Hanna-Barbera, because we're both huge Hanna-Barbera fans.
Yeah. And
I'm really excited about that project, and just hanging out like I was mentioning it. If Art lived close to me and you live close to me, then we'd have to get together every week and eat.
Every week. Yep. For sure.
That would be
if you need a fat ball character in your series, you can always just call him Pork Chop. I'm just saying, that's always there. So well, I can't wait to see what you guys do together. And we got to talk about your YouTube channel too. You just hit
700.
So let's see if we can get all of my followers to follow you and get you to 717. So we'll see how that works.
That's amazing. Yeah. It's just look up Jamie Cosley. There are a ton of videos up now. I do a lot of how to draw characters, and it's
like Heathcliff.
Yep. It's geared towards the younger folks, but I think the tricks would help anyone that wants to draw. And then I do a lot of shorts, because that's how you gain subscribers. What I'm finding out.
Okay.
YouTube shorts, they're They're a minute long. You know, our attention spans are getting shorter.
Oh, what? I'm sorry.
So, but it's neat. It's neat to see the people that they subscribe and then they're like, oh, he's got some longer ones, because you can see those hours going up in the analytics that I check too often. But yeah, thank you. Please definitely check that out. And there is I did a really fun series that was my top 10 comic books of all time.
Oh,
and of course Rom was in there. It was in the top 10. It was really neat because, you know, you and I are the same age, but I've had
you just look so much better than I do, but anyway.
Stop. I have a lot of subscribers that are my younger brother's age, so mid to late 30s. And it's interesting because I'll show something like, for instance, Nathaniel Dusk, which was a mini series.
Yeah, DC.
Love that.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, well, I've never heard of this stuff, you know, and I'm going to check it out now. And so that's kind of cool because you're, you know, introducing folks to things.
Oh, I'd love to see you do Void Indigo.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's really creepy and bad, but I'd love to see your twist on it.
Okay.
That'd be funny. Hey, do you know Dan Phillips?
Dan Phillips. He sounds familiar.
He's from Texas. He's an artist too. He's another Ron pal.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's probably why it sounds familiar.
Yeah, he's been in our conversations before too. Buddy of mine just met him over the weekend at a Beaumont Comic Con or something. But he sent some cool covers too. Speaking of which, our Rom blanks should be in any day now. So I'll be getting those and turning those around to you too.
Oh, cool.
With one for me. I've already got an idea of what I want.
That's awesome.
Oh, awesome. All right, well, good. Well, we'll get together.
Coming back to Marvel.
I know. Well,
know that, right? Sort of.
When I see him, I'll believe it.
Okay.
Because I mean, honestly, I don't want to get too excited because I mean, we're seeing him on some covers and stuff. That's great, but I haven't officially seen anywhere. You know, they can use the dire rates, obviously, because they've used them for years.
Yeah.
But God, I hope so. I hope so. But I also am worried about what they would do to it. You know, it won't change the stories that we have. It's just he's such a Boy Scout. He's such a Boy Scout. And I don't know who you'd do in this new, you know, the Dark Knight rules type thing. So I don't know. We'll see. Fingers crossed if they do it and they do it right. So it won't change what we have, though. Well, once again, I'd like to thank you so much for coming on the show and just making my evening. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, brother.
And I'd also like to thank all of you out there in the podcast universe for joining us for this video episode, unless you're hearing it. And then it probably would be weird because you didn't see the covers. Anyway, episode of Fave Five for Vans. You can find us and more from the Plastic Microphone Studios wherever you catch a podcast. You can find us and more from the Plastic Microphone Studios wherever you happen to catch a podcast. Did I mention that? No. Okay, sorry. It would be a massive help if you would consider leaving us a review and that all-important 5-star rating. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, give us the thumbs up. That's the one that looks like this. And if you like the show, consider sharing us or telling friends about us. And if you don't like the show, log in on someone else's account and subscribe to us so that they have to hear us each week. You showed them. You can find us on our website and on all of the social media places. And don't forget to look for our other show, Complete Disarray with Jamie Ray, which, by the way, we should get you on there and talk about Blue Scar. That would be awesome one day. You can just talk all about the world of Blue Scar and stuff like that. It's the show where we take one topic with just one guest and we just ramble on and on and on and on and on. But in a totally good way. Just another product of the Plastic Microphone Studios that no one asked for. And remember, folks, it may not be the best. It may not be the most popular, but if it's your favorite, then it's good enough for us. Thank you for joining us. Sir, take care.
You too.
And we're out.